Good morning, everybody. Let us start today's class. Here I will teach you about top-down and bottom-up process of making nanostructures. So these are two methods of making nanostructures. Here I have already mentioned about top-down approach. Lithography is the most important top-down approach. Ball milling also, I have already said about ball milling, isn't it? So ball milling also is another technique of top-down approach. Just reducing the size of bulk material into nano size by using a ball milling unit. So I have said that. I think you remember it. Top-down approach, we have one more main technique, which is lithography. So we have already said about photolithography. And now next I will be speaking about bottom-up approach. After that we will have its application and what is the advantage of bottom-up approach than the top-down. Then the challenges of bottom-up processing, also the future of top-down and bottom-up processing. So this can be asked as an essay. Both top-down and bottom-up approach explain the technique and applications, the future, the challenges, all these things you have to include in that essay. Okay, top-down approach, here the picture shows photolithography. Photoresist is coated on the substrate which is silicon there, and silicon will be always covered with the silicon dioxide. It will be oxidized. On the top layer will be silicon dioxide. So silicon substrate which is covered with the silicon dioxide is now coated with the photoresist, and then we are exposing through a mask, exposing this photoresist with this ultraviolet light through a mask. And this mask will have the structure which we need to make on the substrate. So here you can see a line, the opaque region and the transparent region is there, and it shows a line there, a line structure. So the ultraviolet light will pass through the transparent region. Opaque region, the ultraviolet light will not pass through it, through the mask. So only the light will be passing to this photoresist, and the exposed part and unexposed part is shown in the picture. You can see the line part is exposed, and then after developing you will get the structure of the photoresist, which is the exposed part is removed and the unexposed part is still there of the photoresist. So we have that structure which is in nano size. The thickness of or the width of this line is in nano size. So this is the technique which we can with which we can make nanostructures. This is a traditional method, and we have the limitation of this method with the wavelength of the light. So whatever wavelength we use, here we are using ultraviolet light. So ultraviolet light will have around wavelength 300 to 400 nanometer. So in that region only we can make the structure. Below that wavelength region you cannot make the structure size. The structure size can be minimum up to 400 to 300 nanometer. So if you want to make 50 nanometer line, this method will not be useful, because ultraviolet light will have only, it has wavelength up to it has the range from 300 to 400 nanometer, isn't it? So this is the limitation. The wavelength is making the limitation. So you can use extreme ultraviolet light, or you can use X-ray beams or electron beam for exposing. Then you can have more smaller structure, because their wavelength is very, very small, very small in the angstrom region. Even X-ray can have angstrom size. It can make angstrom size structure. Okay, so the limitation is the light beam's wavelength which we use. But X-ray is very costly, isn't it? X-ray, electron beam, all these things are very costly. So this process, when you want to make very small structures, nanostructures, it becomes very costly. And here the next slide shows what constitutes a top-down process. Here, adding a layer of material over the entire wafer and patterning that layer through photolithography, as we have mentioned in the previous slide. This is a picture of a nanostructure made by photolithography. So patterning bulk silicon by etching away certain areas. So this is a sidewise image. So this structure have high aspect ratio. See that the height is large compared to the width. So we can make very ordered, periodic, equal size structures as shown in this picture. So this is 100 nanometer, 100 nanometer is the size there. 100 nanometer is the width of this structure. So it might be using extreme UV light, extreme UV light or electron beam lithography might be using there for making this structure as shown in this picture. Okay, so now we move on to the experimental setup here to see what are the machines we are using for photolithography. Here instead of ultraviolet or extreme ultraviolet light, you can use argon fluorine ARF excimer laser. We can use many excimer lasers having wavelength below 300 or 400 nanometer. So here it is 193 nanometer. So you can make the structure up to 193 nanometer. And 248 nanometer excimer laser is also there. I will not go into the real structure of this machine because it's very complicated, and it says that we need complex optics also to get the highest resolution, and a phase shift masks are necessary to make the features up to 65 nanometer size. So this laser is used of 193 nanometer wavelength. Still we are making 65 nanometer size structure. How will you do that? Because we need to have some complex optics to make the wavelength even more less. So we need phase shift masks. Using phase shift masks we can make even more smaller structures. So about phase shift masks and complex optics, we don't need to study about it in detail. We just need to say that we need costly lasers and complex optics to make very small features using lithography technique. So that's only you need to say. Argon fluoride one excimer laser is one of the light beam or one of the laser beam which is used for photolithography. Now, what are the problems with the top-down process? Main problem is cost. Cost of new machines and clean room environments. We need very high sophisticated clean room without any dust particles, without any foreign particles. We should not have any environment with any foreign particles inside the lithography chamber. So we need a very high sophisticated room for that. That is why we need it is very costly there. And physical limit of the light beam. So the main resolution limit will be depending on the wavelength of the light beam which we use. That is also one of the problem. And then the other problem is this with smaller geometries and conventional materials, heat dissipation is a problem. So if you are making a smaller structure, if you are using X-ray beam to make a very small structure, X-ray beam will have very high power, isn't it? So it will emit lot of heat energy, so that the sample will get ruined. It will be ruined. It will be destroyed. So it will not be used. It cannot be used anymore. So heat dissipation is a problem. And this picture is year versus number of transistors in a 1 by 1 centimeter say a 1 by 1 centimeter wafer, how many number of transistors you can make. That is what it shows in this picture. As year goes on increasing, this number of transistors which is included per area, per centimeter square, is increasing exponentially. It is increasing linearly. Sorry, it is increasing linearly there. Okay, after some point, you cannot make it any more smaller, isn't it? Because one atom, we cannot divide that atom anymore. So we can make smallest up to one atom only. So there is a limit there. So that's why it shows at the top there is a question mark. There will be always a limit, so that we can include how many number of transistors in 1 by 1 centimeter square area. So you cannot make a transistor in an atom. So that's in an atom, below the size of an atom, it's not possible. So that is the limit, upper limit. Now next we move on to bottom-up approach. Here it is the opposite of top-down. We are taking each atom, atom by atom, and arranging it to make a nanostructure. Instead of reducing the size of bulk material to nano size, we are taking here from the bottom. The bottom point is one atom, isn't it? So from one atom, you take another atom and then arrange, so that you will get a smaller size nanostructure of that atom. So instead of taking material away to make structures, the bottom-up approach selectively adds atom to create structure. So we will get a nanostructure by assembling the atoms. So the idea behind the bottom-up approach is nature uses the bottom-up approach. Here we can see in nature many self-assembling self-assembling processes, like cells. In cells, all these materials or molecules get assembled by themselves. We are not doing anything externally by man. So it is these molecules assembled by themselves to form full-fledged cell, one cell. So like that, humans, a fetus is formed and it gets bigger and bigger. It increases its size by its own, by arranging or multiplying the cells, isn't it? So this is also a self-assembly process. A human being is born inside the womb of the mother. When the inside the womb, the fetus will be growing by its own, by self-assembly, isn't it? Self-assembly of cells. So that is also a bottom-up approach. So we just need the conditions. We just need the external possible necessary condition, so that all these atoms or all these cells arrange themselves to become the product, become the final product. So here we need chemistry and biology to help this assembly or controlled growth. The comparison between top-down and bottom-up approach is shown here. Start with the bulk wafer for top-down and apply layer of photoresist, then expose through the mask with UV light or any light beam, and then etching the wafer with a desired pattern. Bottom-up process: start with the bulk wafer, and then you have an area which is having some structure in it. Alter area of wafer with the where the structure is to be created. So some chemical process is happening on the surface. In some areas, some chemical process we are having it by themselves. We are not we are just giving the conditions, external conditions only. So where the structure has to be formed, the wafer it will be created by adding polymer or seed crystals or other techniques. You can do any techniques to make the area suitable for growing the structure on that area. So grow or assemble the structure on the area determined by the seed crystals or polymer. So there is a seed crystal there. On this seed crystal or this polymer, the structure is growing. Okay. Now bottom up processing, why we need that? It is very cheap method, that is the best reason. So allow smaller geometries than photolithography. It allows because it is growing from bottom. So one atom by atom it comes. So we can stop anywhere. So we can stop by 2 atom only. So that means 2 atom structure is there. So the limitation is from 1 atom to 2 atom. So the structure size will be only that. We can have geometries smaller than photolithography. And then certain structures such as carbon nanotube and silicon nanowires are grown through a bottom-up process. We cannot grow it by any other technique. Only by bottom-up technique it can be grown. And new technologies such as organic semiconductor. You might have heard about OLED TV. Organic LED TV. That is also made by this bottom-up technique. It can be bent. These TV screens can be bent. It can be placed anywhere. And it can be made transparent when we are not using. So we can put it in a window. This TV we can put it in window. When we are not using, it is behaving as a window there. It's transparent. Light can come through it. But when we are using it as a TV, it can be normal TV there. So these are the new technologies coming from bottom-up process. OLED TV is also one of these, organic LED TV, one of these application. Now we can make formation of films and structures much easier, and it is more economical than top-down. So you have to number it and study it. Okay. Self-assembly process. It is the principle is bottom-up processing only. Is the coordinator action of independent entities to produce larger ordered structures or achieve a desired shape. It's found in nature and it's in atomic scale. Applications, you can see here carbon nanotubes between the structure, formation of nanowires between the dots there, nanodots there. So self-organizing deposition of silicon nanodots and then formation of nanowires. Nanotube transistor, self-assembled monolayers, carbon nanotube interconnects. This picture shows carbon nanotube interconnects. Nanodots are connected with the nanotubes. See that. All these are applications. So you can make nanotube transistor. We will see it in the next few slides. Self-assembling of silicon nanodots. See this. Most common application are in optical devices and memory. So if you have silicon nanodots, you can make transistor out of it, or you can make memories. One bit, one dot. You can store 1 bit in 1 dot. Silicon nanodots are deposited onto silicon dioxide with no need of lithography patterning. This picture shows self-assembled nanodots of silicon. The process of making nanodots. First apply layer of self-assembled polymer film and then grow layer of desired material to create nanodot. That's all. Two steps are there. So polymer template for nanodot. In that polymer template, on that polymer part only the nanodot will be growing. So see that its size is below 100 nanometer. Diameter is below 100 nanometer. See, I have already said that one dot will store 1 bit. You can use it in memory, hard disk of the computer. So each nanodot can hold 1 bit of information. So 10 trillion dots per square inch. That means how much data you can store. 30 nanometer high and 80 nanometer wide. Self-assembled nanodots are shown in this picture. Now properties of carbon nanotubes I will separately I will take. Carbon nanotubes are made of carbon sheet, graphene sheet rolled out, and about the rolling direction you can have different types of carbon nanotubes like armchair, zigzag, and chiral. I will teach you about carbon nanotubes in the next class. Okay, so growing technique is shown here. Nanotube transistor you can see here. These are all applications. You just need to mention it, and just one or two sentences about each application you have to say. Carbon nanotube and its application I will teach you in the next class. Just see these slides. This is carbon nanotube transistor. See here, nanotube is used to connect between drain and source. And the below layer is silicon dioxide, that is gate there. Gate electrode is there, source and drain is there, channel is our carbon nanotube. So this is a transistor there. Nanotube transistor self-assembled. Also picture is shown here. Nanotube transistor construction by DNA. So using DNA also you can make nanotube transistor. And problem with the carbon nanotube transistor. These are the things more about applications. You just need to write only one or two sentences. The problems, all these things you don't need. So now let us move on to self-assembled monolayers. What is this self-assembled monolayer? Here one layer of molecules are assembled by themselves. So we can say that self-assembled monolayer. Molecules are deposited molecule by molecule to form a self-assembled monolayer. Only one layer is formed. Then it will be one SAM. Creates a high quality layer of material, and it is deposited one layer at a time. After completing one layer, then only the other monolayer will be forming. So self-assembled monolayers are layer by layer growth, formed by layer growth technique. And these monolayers are used in different application. Here also it's showing FET, OFET, organic FET, source, drain, and gate is there, and the channel is there, is the organic region, organic material there, organic molecules. Here organic molecules can't be deposited using extreme condition like lithography. Lithography വെച്ച് നമുക്കത് ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ പറ്റുകയില്ല. കാരണം ലൈറ്റ് ബീം, ഹൈ എനർജി ലൈറ്റ് ബീം ഇൻസിഡൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പം ഈ ഓർഗാനിക് മോളിക്യൂൾസ് ഡിസിൻറ്റിഗ്രേറ്റ് ആയിപ്പോവും, ഡാമേജ് ആയിപ്പോവും, മോളിക്യൂൾസ് ഗെറ്റ് ഡാമേജ്ഡ്. So we cannot make organic molecules by extreme conditions or by lithography technique. Only SAM technique, self-assembled monolayer technique can be used there, and it will be completely defect free. Now carbon nanowire interconnects. Metal contacts acts as catalyst to promote one-dimensional crystal growth. One can one day be implemented as interconnects. So this carbon nanowire, why we are using interconnects, not written there. I will tell you that, because if you are using one metal interconnect in nano size, if the current is passing through that interconnect, if the size is very small, that current will have too much energy. It will be releasing too much heat energy. Because of this heat energy, this small, very small nano size metal connection, metal line will be melted away. It will be destroyed. So we cannot use the copper or aluminum or iron nano sized connection wire. We cannot use, because it will be melted away if the current is passing through that structure or that wire. But if you are using carbon nanotube or carbon nanowire, it has highly ഇത് ഡയമണ്ടിൻ്റെ സ്ട്രെങ്ത് ആണ്. കാരണം കാർബണിൻ്റെ സ്ട്രക്ചറാണ് കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി. ഡയമണ്ടിൻ്റെ ഒരു അല്ലോട്രോപ്പ് തന്നെയാണ് കാർബൺ നാനോ ട്യൂബ്, അല്ലേ? അപ്പോൾ കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി കാർബൺ ബോൺസ് ആണ്. അതുപോലെ ഡബിൾ ബോണ്ടാണ്. ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് ഹൈലി സ്ട്രോങ്. ദ സ്ട്രോങ്ങസ്റ്റ് മെറ്റീരിയൽ ഇൻ ദിസ് വേൾഡ് ആണ് ഈ കാർബൺ നാനോ ട്യൂബ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത്. ഡയമണ്ടിനൊപ്പം തന്നെ സ്ട്രോങ് ആണ്. And it has high tensile strength, high Young's modulus. All this heat capacity is very high, and if the current is passing through it, it will not melt. So this can be used as smallest interconnects of electronic structure in nano size, like nano transistor, nano diodes, all these nano chips. You can use in carbon nanowires as interconnects. See this, the diameter is less than 1 nanometer, so that means it's almost angstrom size. So you can use very very small interconnects. So this smallest structure, in those smallest structures you can use these nano wires as interconnects. The only problem is positioning of this nanowire. In order to position this nanowire, take one nanowire and position it in the appropriate place will be difficult process. You have to do it externally, isn't it? It cannot do by themselves. So that will be the problem. One of the nanotube interconnect process is shown here. This you can see, it's a paper from research group. And benefits and challenges of nanotube interconnects, you can read that. It's not very important for your it's important, but it's not very important for your syllabus. You can read that. Then that's all about challenges. You can read. I have already said bottom up approach. The challenges are positioning is one of the main problem. Contamination, forming complex patterns than expected will be one of the problem. And the future of top down and bottom up processing. See this, the future is shown here in this slide. Chemistry, biology, atomic manipulation, and microelectronics. The top line towards down is top down, and bottom line towards up is bottom up technique. So 2010 it has met each other. So now in microelectronics the lithography technique is reducing now, but the other one is increasing. The self assembly and bottom up technique is increasing. Molecular electronics and bioelectronics are now more famous. Advancements made so far is written here. Stanford University carbon nanotube transistor have made, and in Yale University organic monolayers for organic transistor is made, and IBM has constructed a nanotube based circuit, and nano motors and gears are created by NASA. This is also this slide is also a very old one, so now the new achievements are more there. You can look into internet. What is the current situation? What to look for? We can look for vias and interconnects being implemented with carbon nanotubes, and nanotube transistors replacing conventional designs. Nanotubes will be coming everywhere, even in biology it comes. Drug transfer, drug delivery is also done by nanotubes now. Self-assembled monolayers being used to create organic semiconductor based device. Carbon nanotubes becoming more and more prevalent as their growth is controlled. Now we can grow them in controlled manner. Maybe in future television you can see nanotube arrays. The conclusion is top-down processing has been and will be the dominant process in semiconductor manufacturing. Newer technologies such as nanotubes and organic semiconductors will require a bottom-up approach processing. Self-assembly eliminates the need of photolithography, and bottom-up processing will become more and more prevalent in semiconductor manufacturing. So bottom-up approach is increasing now, as seen in this picture. After 2020, more bottom-up approach is happening there than the top-down approach. Okay, this much only I will teach you today.